Tackling 101, Teaching Progressions. Rick Cash, Head Coach, Defensive Coordinator, Mountain Vista High School, Highlands Ranch, Colorado. First of all, you must be prepared to play. You have to be in a proper position. Any athlete stepping out on the field must be prepared for action, must be prepared to tackle. The first thing that we started with is athletic position, or what we call the ready position. This is a flat back position with chin high and eyes up. You're going to have your back flat, and you spread your chest. We always tell our kids to be Superman, as if he were pulling his shirt open to show everybody that big S as he's running down the street to look for a telephone booth. Spread that chest, keep the back flat. Feet at shoulder width with weight off the heels. You must be in a good balanced position with the feet wide, but not too wide. You want to be able to move, and you want to have your weight forward. You don't want to have your weight back on your heels. You want to be ready and anticipating a forward movement. There should be power angles in the legs. These are 90-degree angles at the ankle, knee, and thigh, and this is where squats and hang cleans really come into play from your weight room. You must be in a position to play from the waist down, because that's where tackling originates. That's where the strength comes from. Always remember, LMW, the low man wins. So play from a powerful position as a low man. Okay, we're out on the field now. We're going to have a couple players come out. We're going to actually walk through these 4 points of tackling. So they're going to come on out. Always want to start in athletic position, so they're going to go ahead and show us that now. Feet are going to be somewhere between shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider. Patrick likes his stance in a little tighter. Austin's a little bit wider. You're going to see nice flat back, big chest here. You're going to spread the chest as Superman would and show everybody that big S. So spread that chest, get the back flat that way. See, the heads are up, chin high. They're in great position as far as their safety is concerned, as also as far as their power is concerned. We're going to have Austin turn sideways here. You can see the power angles in the hips and knee and ankle joint. You always want to make sure you're engaging the muscles of the leg, because that's where the power of the tackle comes from. If you're not getting your rear end down and getting a good bend in those power angles, you're not going to be a powerful tackler. You're not going to be an effective tackler. We're going to go from here to the first point of tackling. There are 4 points to a proper tackle. From the athletic position, we start in our drill work in athletic position, and then we proceed to these 4 points of tackling. The first point is the step between. This is a position where you are aligned in such a way where you step between the legs of the offensive player. The second is placing your chin on the far hip. We'll talk more later about why we use the chin and not the ear hole. Punch and grab would be the third point. At this point in time, you start to recognize the violence inherent in a good tackle. And then the final point is drive and run. These 4 points done together in a manner of less than a second will result in a great tackle. The first point of tackling is step between. From the athletic position, at a position of being 1 yard apart, arms distance apart, right shoulder to right shoulder, one position or one player being a tackler, we proceed to step 1, which is step between. From there, the goal is always to get close to the tackle. Oftentimes you see kids will dive for a tackle, or they'll try to tackle with their hands. We want to get in close, be body to body, and stepping between is going to be one of those positions, or one of those points that's going to help us get there. You want to try to position your lead foot between the legs of the ball carrier. We don't want to get even. We don't want to get head up. We want to position ourselves between his legs with our lead foot. Very few tackles are straight on. Don't practice straight on tackling. Almost 90% of tackles are an angle tackle. So you want to go from an angle with your fundamental teaching progression. Avoid the temptation to overrun or even up with the ball carrier. Too often times, especially young tacklers, they want to get even so that they can look straight ahead at their ball carrier, because they're nervous about getting beat. But we always want to assume that we're doing it at game speed, assume that we're doing it in a game situation. That's always going to be from an angle. This also decreases the likelihood of cutbacks. You're in a position where you allow the ball carrier to have one option as far as where he's going to run. That decreases the likelihood of missing the tackle. Trust your teammates in your tackling. Too often, especially As I said before, when you get even up with the ball carrier, a lot of times that is not trusting that if I miss the tackle, my teammates are going to be in pursuit and they're going to help out. So trust your teammates are going to be on the move and pursuing as well, and you'll be in a situation where you can have a more fundamentally sound tackle. Stay low as you run. Maintain the athletic position and watch your pad level. You certainly want to make sure that you're not running high, because not only is that a good time to lose track of the ball carrier, it's also sets you up as a bigger target for a block.
All right, first point of tackling is step between. So we're going to get back in the athletic position. Austin's actually going to start offset from Patrick. He's going to go basically 1 yard away. They can show you this here. Come on up, guys. We're going to show them matching up arm to arm so that you get the right distance to start, matching up right foot to right foot or left foot to left foot, in this case right foot to right foot. All right, Austin's going to go athletic position, and he's going to be in great position to start here. Patrick's going to be our tackling dummy. He's going to do a great job there. First point of tackling is step between. We want to engage the offensive player by stepping between his feet, taking our body in close to his body, putting ourselves in a position where the only thing he can do is continue in the path that he's in. By stepping between, we give him no opportunity for cutback. We want to make sure that we're not creating opportunities and choices for the running back. We want to limit his option, limit his opportunities. So we're going to step between his feet, force him to go wide. Go ahead and step between. Get right between the feet, right between the feet. There we go. Step between. And notice he's keeping his hips down. He's staying in this good power position. He's got his head and chin up, focused, straight ahead, arms at the ready. But we're stepping between. This is the first point of tackling, step between.
The second point of tackling is chin to far hip. We promote a safe, fundamental tackling progression that is not only a good progression on the field, it's also something that you can sell your parents. When you talk to them about how you're teaching your kids to tackle, you certainly want to be in a position where you can defend it from a legal standpoint, from a safety standpoint, but also from an effectiveness standpoint. And this, we believe, is one of the points that helps to make this more effective. I want to slide the chin through the torso to the far hip. Remember, we've just stepped between the feet of the ball carrier. So we should be in a position where, as long as we keep our rear end down and our chest and eyes high, we're going to be able to slide that chin through the torso to the far hip. The head should go across the body. This forces the ball carrier to cut back through you if he decides to change the angle of his run. Keep the eyes up and open. Probably one of the most difficult things to teach is keeping the eyes open through a tackle. Most players anticipate a contact and don't realize the protective nature of the equipment allows them to keep their eyes open and the ability to see the ball. So you want to make sure that as you're coaching this, you're watching what they're doing with their eyes. Help them keep them up, which keeps the head in the proper position, and keep their eyes open, which allows them to see the tackle to completion. Place the chin, not the ear hole, on the hip. We want to avoid neck injuries at all costs. Anytime you have a situation where you're teaching a contact or a collision sport like football, injury is always a possibility. So you want to try to do everything you can to prevent that injury. In doing so, by placing the chin on the far hip, then you're obviously going to have the head in a very upright position. This keeps us in a position of avoiding spinal injuries. Most spinal injuries result from the head being driven into the chest, not from going back. If you're putting the chin on that far hip, not only are you forcing them to have their head in an upright position, they're also forcing them to keep their hips down low in order to get that chin up. Don't forget to bring the back foot along. A lot of times in this position, kids end up extended. And so what you want to do is have them put that chin on the far hip, but they also want to bring that back foot or the trailing foot back to a position that returns them to an athletic position, the best position to be in. Hands back and should be ready to strike. You want to have those hands in a position to punch up through, as we'll find in the next point. More importantly than anything else, realize that this is all happening slow, step-by-step progression, but in a real-life situation, it's happening in probably less than 1 second.
Okay, we've gone through the first point of tackling, which is step between. The second point of tackling is chin to far hip. We're going to restart ourselves again. Austin's going to walk us through this progression. This first point of tackling is step between. The second point of tackling is chin to far hip. He's going to bring his hip or his chin all the way across Patrick's hip. We want to emphasize the chin here in order to keep the head up. A lot of coaches will put their head on the far side of the body, whatever situation. We want that chin on that hip because that emphasizes and forces them to be in a position to keep the head up. It also forces him to keep his hips low. You'll notice he's brought this back foot along with him, and he's really, when you look at it, back in athletic position after 2 steps. He's still got his power angles ready. He's got his arms ready to him. He's in a very powerful position here. He's going to finish his tackle strong. It's a great position by Austin. I want to show, he's going to drop this foot back here and show you a common mistake that some kids make. They'll try to put that chin on the far hip, and they'll leave this second foot back. And what ends up happening there is you lose all your power because your base is spread wide. This kind of tackler is generally the kind of tackler that's going to have to dive to make the play. All right, he wants to bring this back foot with him and reset his body so he's in a good, powerful position, athletic position, with the chin on the hip, and he steps between that ball carrier. We'll move on to the third point of tackling now.
Punch and grab. The third point of tackling is to punch and grab. Old school was to teach a wrap situation where you'd come around the body of the ball carrier. What we like to teach is to drive the hands up under the armpits in a punching type of motion. Obviously, we're not punching towards the face of the ball carrier. We want to punch to the back of that ball carrier. So we're going to go up through the armpits. This avoids that wrapping technique that used to be taught where most players, if you stop and consider it, most players will not be able to get their hands around a player anyway. So wrapping teaches them to fail. We want to teach them to succeed, so we're going to teach that punch motion where we're coming up through. This also emphasizes a more aggressive tackling mentality. It puts them in a position where they're being the aggressor and not taking on the contact. They're initiating the contact with the ball carrier. Punching up is more in line with the natural movement of the arms and has a greater potential for creating fumbles. So you have multiple benefits by teaching an upward motion with the arms as opposed to a wrapping type of motion. And then the grab part of the punch and grab is to grab anything. We tell our kids, grab jersey, grab pads, grab fat, grab hair. I don't care what you grab. You need to grab something. Get your hands involved in the tackle. I tell my players that if there's a player running down the field after he's been contacted by one of our defensive players, there better be fingers in his jersey. You grab and you hold on, and you'll find that your teammates will be there to help you. Trust the pursuit of your teammates. Hold on to something. Other players will be there. It really emphasizes and promotes a team concept.
Okay, we're moving on to the third point of tackling now. We're going to go back to the starting position and show you from there. Starting in athletic position, Austin's going to walk through the first 2 steps, then we're going to get to that third point of tackling, which is punch and grab. He's going to step between, which is the first part of the point of tackling. Second point of tackling is chin to far hip. Going to slide his face across, put his chin on the far hip ball carrier. Remember, bring that back foot so that you're re-engaged into that athletic position. Third point of tackling is punch and grab. On the call, Austin is going to punch up through and grab something. He's also going to start to push his hips underneath. He's not going to get there just yet, but he's going to start to push his hips underneath and slide those hands. We're using his hips up underneath that ball carrier. I don't care what they grab back here. I tell them grab fat, grab hair, grab jersey, grab pads, grab something. Because I want to see fingers in that jersey if he gets out of this tackle. I want to show you a poor tackling technique that we as coaches have taught for a long time. Step between, chin to far hip. All right, now we're going to, instead of punching, he's going to wrap. All right, we always talking, especially in Little Leagues, you hear people talking about wrap him up, wrap him up. All right, wrapping up is what you do to a Christmas. Wrapping up is passive. We want to teach an aggressive mentality. We're not going to wrap up, especially with some of the running backs today. These are big, wide bodies, and trying to get your arms around them is really ineffective coaching. We want to teach, go back and we'll start over again. Athletic position, step between, chin to far hip, punch and grab. We want to punch up through. 2 good things can happen here. One, we're a lot more aggressive with our tackling mentality. We are punching up through and we are grabbing a hold of something. The second thing, the ball is going to be in one of these two arms. If he's punching up through, he's a lot more likely to cause a fumble than if he were to just wrap simply. All right, so we want to punch and grab to get aggressive and to potentially create fumbles. We'll move on to the fourth point now.
The fourth point of tackling is drive and run. We're going to first step between. We're going to second put the chin on the far hip. Third, we're going to punch and grab. And finally, to finish the tackle, we're going to drive and run. Driving and running means we're going to pull our hips underneath the shoulders and put ourselves in a position where we can use the power of the legs in the tackle. Engaging the legs in the tackle is very important. Don't leave your feet unless it's absolutely necessary. The ball carrier is leaving your range, and you must leave your feet to make the tackle. Engaging the legs, again, engages the strongest part of your body. Run through the tackle. The aiming point for contact should not be the player's chest. It should be a point 1 yard behind the ball carrier. You always want to tackle in such a way that you aim for a point beyond the ball carrier. This emphasizes and brings all of the strength through the tackle. Don't stop your feet until you're on the ground or the whistle blows. You keep your feet driving through the tackle. You're going to be a much more effective tackling, and obviously you're going to be much more safe as far as keeping your legs in the ground and having control. Obviously, when the whistle blows, you stop. Finish. Finish is one of the most important points of tackling. A big hit without a down ball carrier is the same as a missed tackle. It gives the offense confidence. You see this oftentimes, especially at the upper levels, where the athletes are bigger and stronger and they've forgotten the fundamentals of tackling. Teach finishing. You must finish the tackle. Tackling is a defensive opportunity to repeatedly take the heart of the offensive player. I believe in this 100%. Nothing intimidates more than effective, ferocious gang tackling. You will find an offense backing down when they realize that every tackle, someone's going to get hit, and they're going to get hit hard, and they're going to get finished. It's not just going to be a situation of being hit and bouncing off of it. They're going to take the heart of the offense by driving themselves through the ball carrier and down to the ground.
Up to the fourth point of tackling now, which is drive and run, the final point of tackling. Austin again, he's back in athletic position. Again, I can't emphasize how important it is to start in athletic position every time. Go through the first 3 steps and get Austin in position to show us that fourth point. Step between, chin to far hip, punch and grab. Now he's gone up through, and notice that he's in that good power position. He's still in that athletic position. He's in position to do something. Too often you see kids, and I'm going to put Austin in a bad position. Too often you see kids, they've got their hips up high. They're not in position to actually finish the tackle. All right, they haven't walked through it properly. They haven't learned proper mechanics. Come on, step back. We'll start you. I want to emphasize how important it is to stay down in that good, solid power position to be able to tackle. All right, step between, chin to far hip, punch and grab. Now we're going to drive and run. And what Austin is going to do, he's going to engage his hips, and essentially he's going to, all those squats, all those cleans in the weight room are now going to come into play as he drives up through Patrick and runs as fast and far as he can. Drive and run. All right, running with the man on your shoulder is a very difficult task, but obviously you can do it and you can coach it. All right, emphasis here is tackling beyond the tackle, the ball carrier. Tackling beyond the ball carrier. Your aiming point should be 1 yard behind him to engage that full momentum of the drive and run. Obviously, this doesn't look like it's going to look like in a real-life situation. We're going to put the four points of tackling together now in a little bit faster progression so that you can see how they will progress through. Then we're going to do a couple times full speed so you can see how it should look when it's done right. All right, here we go. Athletic position. Step between. Chin to far hip. Punch and grab. Drive and run. All right, great job. Great job done by Austin there. Again, you can use that pause between those 4 points of tackling as an opportunity to correct, especially your younger, less experienced players. Now we're going to show it to you one more time, but this time we're just going to say hit, and Austin is going to show us all 4 points done at the same time together. Ready? Hit. There we go. hopefully this video has helped you, this demonstration on the field has helped you, and your tacklers will be much more effective for using the Fundamental Tackling 101 video. Thank you.
Here's a great example of an open field tackle with proper fundamentals. Especially great example of running through the tackle. Obviously the free safety there was able to get his head across and ran through the tackle. His tackling point was definitely a yard past the ball carrier. He did not stop at the tackle. Great example of a tackle there. Here's a great example of a defensive player stepping up into the hole to fill, a linebacker filling on a running play, coming in at an angle, putting his head across to the far hip, chin across the far hip. You'll see him in a great athletic positions where he's able to use his leg strength to be able to come up through the tackle. It's a great job. Here's another great example of an open field tackle where the cornerback here in this situation trusts his teammates to pursue. He doesn't slow down for the tackle to make sure he makes the tackle. He comes up and pursues the ball carrier with the intent of making the tackle himself, trusting that his teammates are going to be pursuing. And what he does is a great job of coming through the tackle, punching up through, and taking the ball carrier down for no gain. And here's another example of a great play that a cornerback makes in a very critical situation. Last play of the game, he comes up from the outside position, great angle, puts his head across the body to the far hip, punches up through, and obviously his tackle pops the ball free and ends the game. It's a great job of putting yourself in a proper position to make a tackle, and great things happen. Here's a great example of what 3 or 4 guys in a proper position helping each other out can achieve in an intimidating gang tackle format or situation. All the tacklers are in proper position, all of them are trusting one another, and all coming up through. So 4 or 5 guys on the initial contact, very intimidating type of tackling situation there.
Right now, so are you ready?
Finally, another great example of a linebacker filling, coming through low and hard, chin to the far hip, driving through the tackle and taking the running back out of the play. And again, nothing more intimidating. There's 6 guys right there on the tackle. That's a great job of tackling and setting an intimidation by the style and manner in which you tackle. Coaches, as you go about teaching the tackling fundamentals, a progression of drills is very important from the beginning of the season through the end of the season. The style and manner of drill that you use can be the most effective tool that you use in teaching your tackling. So as you progress through the drills, the first thing we want to start with in teaching the 4 fundamental points of tackling is hip drive. This will start, best place to start is to have both players on the ground, on their knees, with the tackler with his rear end on his heels and punching up through to teach those final 2 points of the tackling drill. The punch and grab and the drive and run, to get the hips involved, to get the punch down, and we actually run behind our tacklers and literally try to pull their hands off of the jersey of the tackle. This teaches that component of getting the hands involved. Then we'll move to a hip drive tackle where the person being tackled is actually standing while the tackler is on his knees, again, driving up through, now getting the opportunity to place that chin on the far hip. 1-yard walkthroughs, this is what you saw in doing the progression. Start with the tacklers will be 1 yard away from one another, and on your command, they'll run through the 4 points of tackling from an athletic position on a whistle. Then we'll move back to a 5-yard angle at about 50% speed. As you progress, you can increase the percentage or you can move on to other tackling drills. We'll go from there to shoot drills, different shoot drills, one player on their knees and the other on their back, the get up with both players on their back, and then different variations of the Oklahoma drill. You can also do a Y reaction drill off of your a pad, have the defensive player with his hands on a stand-up pad, and he has to react to the ball carrier going to one side or the other. Hole behind drills are very common. Utilize the tackling fundamentals. Make sure you're coaching these 4 points of tackling as you do the hole behind drill. Shed drills, different shed drills that linebackers especially will do, coming off of a blocker and being in that athletic position, being in a position to employ those 4 points of tackling. Box drills, putting 2 players in a box, whether it be defensive backs in a 5 or 10-yard box, or linebackers in a 3-yard box, or even linemen in a very tight box. Anytime you put players in a box drill where there's running and movement, where the offensive player has the opportunity to shake and make fakes, it's a great opportunity to teach those points of tackling. And then we have a drill we call corner chaos, which I will put on the board in just a minute and kind of show you. It's our favorite drill, our favorite tackling drill. We can't do it very often because it's full out and it's very intense, but it's a great drill. Hopefully these will help you as you progress through and the teaching of your tackling, and make sure that you're fundamentally sound and use every opportunity as you're doing tackling drills to teach these 4 points of tackling. This is the corner chaos drill that I spoke of earlier. I'd like to diagram this on the board so that you can utilize this in practice to improve your tackling. Start out with the drill with, you've got a ball carrier who's going to be on his knees between 2 cones preparing to enter the field. About approximately 1 yard spread, you're going to have an offensive player on his knees. Now this offensive player should be all either offensive linemen, running backs and tight ends, or receivers. You need a second cone to emphasize the corner of the corner chaos. Otherwise, the offensive player makes it around this cone too quickly. You'll have 3 defensive players. Again, they should be the same defensive position, lying on their backs with their head even with the inside line of your tackling box. This box should be approximately 5 yards. Again, 1 yard spread on these cones here. On the snap of the ball, again, you're going to have all receivers in here. If you have all receivers in here, then you should have all defensive backs here. Running backs and tight ends versus linebackers. You can also put guards in there to go against your linebackers. Tackles and centers to go against your defensive linemen. Match up your personnel so that it makes it more game-like situations, appropriate offensive players to try to block defensive players, and obviously vice versa, them trying to defeat the block. Offensive players on the snap of the ball are going to get up off of their knees and try to get around the corner and find a defensive player to block. The defensive players, again, on the whistle, going to get off of their backs. They're on their backs again, facing up. They're going to get off of their backs and try to get to what would be the line of scrimmage to make the play. Here's your end zone. The goal for the ball carrier is to get around the corner and find that end zone. He has to stay within the box and do a good job of reading and utilizing his blockers. Defensive players, it's a great example, a great opportunity in a tackling situation for them to work off of a shed and get into a position to make a good tackle. Very intense drill, very fun drill. Kids want to do it all the time, but unfortunately, because of the nature of the contact, it's not a drill we do very often. Great drill, though. Hopefully you can utilize it in your practices. If you would like to contact me in regards to anything you've seen in this video or in regards to anything we do at Mountain Vista High School, please call me. Again, it's Rick Cash, Mountain Vista High School, 303-387-1601, or you can contact me at the email address rick.cash@dcsdk12.org. Football is really a simple game. When it comes down to it, on offense, it's all about blocking, and on defense, it's all about tackling. My hope is that this video has helped you and that you'll be able to use it to teach your players to be more aggressive and more sound tacklers. Thanks for your time.